How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Barely There podcast. I'm Duke Coughlin. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at that pod guy Duke. I'm joined by the Ayatollah of Capicola, the meat man himself, Lucas Perfetti. You can follow him at LucasPerfetti46 on Twitter. Be sure to follow the podcast as well at Barely There Pod. Be sure to join us on YouTube, join the conversation. You know the deal. We've been here long enough. You guys have gotten accustomed to our face. At least I'm accustomed to Lucas Perfetti's face because I see it every single day, multiple times a week. But anyway, Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. The second divisional game for us. First against Minnesota. We're playing on the road. A lot of things kind of playing not in our favor right now on the injury report, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The Minnesota Vikings are a team that have kind of squeaked out a couple wins, but they're definitely a tough out right now. They're kind of firing on all cylinders on offense with Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins actually looks like a formidable quarterback. And their defense in a 3-4 system with Zadarius Smith. And Daniel Hunter actually looks like something that can be really defense that can be reckoned with. So we are going to have to be on our P's and Q's this week for sure. But anyway, Lucas, before we jump too far in, I want to see how you're feeling about the bets on this week's game. As always, the spread right now for the Bears is plus 7.5. Money line is plus 275, and the over under, which personally I feel like is a little high for the way the Chicago Bears have been playing on offense, 44 flat. So how are we feeling, Lucas? How are we feeling about the betting lines, and how are we feeling about the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, the Vikings in general, I think it's all going to really depend on Jaylon Johnson, but we'll get into that. But with the Vikings, I think they might actually be better overall than the Packers. Now, the Packers defense is 100 times better. I think they're a little bit suspect on defense with the Vikings, but their offense is just so much more high powered with what they're able to do. So it could be. That's great, Jim. Thanks for jumping in. It's the only place, or I think it's, I mean, they beat them week 1. So I do think the Vikings are a pretty damn good team, and it's going to be a tough one. 7.5 though is not a football number. Now, if the Vikings were 6.5, I would say that's a pretty, saying that the Vikings are going to win by 7. Like that's a bet that I think most fans would be willing to take, but that half point is really what's going to trip people up. Just because of how it's not a football number, right? Like you got to get to that 8th point. So I do like the Bears plus 7.5. If Jaylon Johnson does not play, I think it gets really fucking ugly. I'm not going to lie. Like it's tough. Hopefully the Bears are able to do some things on offense to get that to the over, because I do like the over in this game as well. But I would probably buy it up a half point. So it's 44.5. So they got to get to 45 and save yourself a little bit of juice. But yeah, I know we usually do injury report last. Should we, I hate to throw a curveball to you, should we start with that?
Oh no. What will I ever do starting with the injury report? No, for sure, man. We could jump right into that because that is going to be insanely relevant moving forward with how we're going to prepare against the Minnesota Vikings, especially on defense. I do want to point out just a couple things really quick, though. The Minnesota Vikings are giving up 20 points a game flat, which is honestly a little high, a little surprising for the amount of talent they have on their defense, but their secondary is a bit on the aged side. So if we can get some speed in the secondary, that's definitely something that could bode well for the Bears. But obviously, we're only scoring 16 points a game, so that's going to be kind of the big test. The big heavy-hitting matchup here is going to be the Vikings offense versus the Bears defense. But if the Bears can find a way to score points, that's really kind of the way to juice up this game and potentially hit that over. But yeah, jumping right into the injury report, because there's some really significant stuff on it this week. Matthew Adams, he's been a full participant. Well, he was limited on Wednesday, but he looks like he's going to be completely back. Joe Thomas was a guy who had a pretty rough game last week. So honestly, getting Matthew Adams back as that strong side linebacker bodes very well going against a offense that produces Dalvin Cook. You know what I mean? So we all saw what Saquon Barkley did against us. We really don't need a replay of that. We need to be able to force Kirk Cousins to beat us, and we need to be able to keep Kirk Cousins on his back, if at all possible. But as far as the big one, the big money one, Jaylon Johnson. He's had a quad injury. I don't believe he's practiced in 2 weeks, and he has not practiced at all this week until today. He was a limited participant. They had an indoor practice to kind of simulate the Minnesota Vikings dome. I thought that was actually a really, really nice idea by Matt Eberflus and the coaching staff. And that's going to be the key matchup, Lucas. It's going to be Jaylon Johnson if he plays versus Justin Jefferson. Like that is going to be such an X factor if we can find a way to get Jaylon Johnson on the field, because if not, and I don't want to sit here and, pound dirt about Kyler Gordon and Kendall Vildor. I feel like we've done it enough, and I feel like they're pretty easy targets at this point. But either Kendall Vildor or Kyler Gordon on Justin Jefferson all day just does not sound like a very good recipe for a win,
No, and that's why I think Jaylon Johnson's so key. And I actually want to throw up Eddie Money's comment here. I think Thielen is going to be more of a problem. I think they're going to scheme up Jettas on Gordon if JJ was healthy or not. So that's exactly how I feel. But if you have Jaylon Johnson there to help lock up Thielen, then I think you're going to be able to kind of blanket coverage with Kyler Gordon. Because yes, they're going to attack Kyler Gordon early and often. Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, is going to match up against Gordon more than Jaylon Johnson does. But it would be really nice to take out their other big time receiver with one player so you can really focus all your attention. I mean, Bojack's playing at a very high level. So if you don't think he's going to be high over Justin Jefferson every single route, at least on passing downs, you're out of your mind, So I think this is we need Justin Jefferson to play because it's going to make Eberflus's job so much easier. Like it's going to. Is Velus Jones still returning kicks? Yes, he is. He's not too old for that. 25 isn't old. He had a rough go at it. We covered this in the post game, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. But yeah, with no Jaylon Johnson, now you got Vildor and Gordon, both kind of not the strongest players right now. Vildor did play a lot better last week, but I would like Jaylon Johnson to play. I'm sure the staff feels that way too, because it's going to help a lot. But the Vikings defense is pretty suspect. That's what we can get into that in a second.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's something that I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. But I really do like the point of Eddie Jackson being over the top on Justin Jefferson. I could also see, and this is something that Vic used to do, honestly, whenever we would play the Vikings, is he would run a lot of cover three with Eddie Jackson.
Sorry, that was me.
Yeah. Okay. You good? Yeah. All right. Just want to make sure. But yeah. One thing he used to do is use cover three with Eddie Jackson, where he would have the corner go deep and have Eddie actually start moving up to kind of play that jump route type safety role. And that actually wouldn't be a terrible idea if it was a situation where we had to have Kyler Gordon covering Justin Jefferson for a good portion of the game. We're going to have to really get creative. We're going to have to move bodies around. Almost in a lot of just kind of like spy looks in a sense, just a lot of fakes, a lot of I don't even know the word I'm looking for here. But just to kind of just disguise looks. That's what I'm looking for. Just to be able to disguise looks in the secondary for Kirk Cousins, because he's a guy who doesn't necessarily have the fastest processor when he's getting pressure on him. And that's going to be the next key to getting that coverage downfield as well, is being able to get pressure on Kirk Cousins. The Minnesota Vikings have a fairly good line, a lot better than it has been in the past. Christian Darrisaw obviously is a pretty good young prospect. I don't know how much I trust Brian O'Neill on the other side of that. So Robert Quinn or Travis Gibson could potentially have a pretty good game. I'd like to see Dominique Robinson as well, potentially on pass rushing downs. I feel like that's going to be really important to getting Kirk moving around and keeping him on his toes. But that's really where you're going to be at your best bet of if Jaylon were to not play, is being able to keep Kirk Cousins moving, being able to make him paranoid in the pocket, make him try to force something downfield that isn't there. But
my biggest fear, I think, for this game in general is like us doing everything in our power to take away Justin Jefferson and then Thielen going off. They do have that two-headed attack where it's like, if we really are, because I think we're going to be able to use Roquan in some of the more intermediate routes and some of the mid routes. So he's going to be able to come up and help from underneath, while, you're probably going to have Gordon playing pretty much man. And then you can have Eddie Jackson looking over the top. So it's like you got someone above and below that's going to be helping him out. But yeah, Thielen going nuts would be rough. And to be honest, man, it is Kirk Cousins. And I think Kirk Cousins has played a lot better than what he gets shit for. He is a pretty damn good quarterback. But at the same time, he is not anywhere near elite. He still shows you like that. Like, he still shows that all the fucking time. And he is not perfect. If you do get pressure on him, that's going to be a huge, huge key to the game. And that starts with stopping the run. And the Bears have had some issues with the running game as well, in general throughout. And I know, is Dalvin Cook playing? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, no, Dalvin Cook's not even on the.
I just say that because he's fucking injured every single year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to say that, right? It's hard to make that shot right now because we just got ripped up by Saquon Barkley, who hasn't been healthy in like 2.5, 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Barkley's a little bit different, but yeah, Dalvin Cook is an absolute stud. And you got to think too, Kirk Cousins has not played well against the Chicago Bears really since he's got to the Vikings. Like, we've given him problems, but there was also a feud between Dalvin Cook and Akeem Hicks. Like, we made Dalvin Cook's life hell, and they made Kirk Cousins' life hell. And we don't have that same defensive line right now. So thinking Kirk is just going to shit the bed, like, I think we might see a better version of Kirk for the Bears fans that really only watch Bears games and, maybe play fantasy here and there, but aren't super in tune with the NFL. You're going to see like a much better version of Kirk, because we've been seeing primetime Kirk every Sunday for the past 3 years with that defensive line that the Chicago Bears used to have. So we need them to step up, man. That defensive line needs to step up, because they've been getting, and I know the Giants invested a lot in their offensive line, but they've been getting their shit rocked. The Giants game and the Packers game specifically, just blown off the ball.
Well, it really feels like we just do not have any interior beef whatsoever, and it hurts,
Tonga?
honestly. I mean, and what's that?
Khyiris Tonga?
Yeah, Khyiris Tonga, that guy.
He's
that a
starter.
He's on Minnesota Vikings literally just claimed off the Falcons practice squad. That Khyiris Tonga. Yeah,
it was the Vikings. No. I thought it was the Browns.
Oh, the Vikings. Yeah, exactly. Not too thrilled about that. They were definitely
bold prediction. Tonga has 4 sacks.
Oh my God. Well, let's wait for that, because we have to talk about the interior of the offensive line, and that's a conversation. Exactly, Jim. I 100% agree with you. It's not even rocket science for us. I can only imagine what processes through Luke Getsy's head. I mean, Lucas is wearing the hat right now, so I mean, maybe we'll have a better idea of what Lucas Getsy's thinking. But yeah, man. I mean, our defense, I really need a big game out of Justin Jones. I really need him to be able to take that step of being that 3 tech where he can really just kind of fucking hold his place in the defense and stop the run, really just clog things up. I need to see a little bit more out of Armand Watts as well, because he's been getting a pretty decent snap count so far this season, and I just have not seen the impact plays from him yet. I feel like we all kind of sold this guy to the moon the second we signed him, which I still really like the signing. I thought it was a pretty strong pick.
I thought he was one of the only waiver pickups that the Bears should have made.
Yeah, no, it was definitely one that
like
kind
7 pickups.
Yeah, it was one that kind of moved the needle, and the whole roster manipulation early on in the season is that's a conversation for the offseason when we talk about Ryan Poles in his first year. But yeah, I need to see more from the interior. I also, and I really like Nicholas Moreau. I've really only sang his praises for the most part, but I want to start seeing him be a little bit more impactful in the run defense. You know what I mean? Because I understand in the middle linebacker position, you think of like a Brian Urlacher in a 4-3 defense and stuff like that, about how you have to be back in coverage. You have to be able to kind of control a little bit of everything. You need to be good at a little bit of everything, but I really need somebody who can go up, eat a block, and fucking go get a tackle, you know what I mean? Or use your big defensive tackles to your advantage. Like, because I just haven't seen it.
Key with Adams too. That's a big key with Adams too.
Yeah. And that's going to be a huge key with Adams, especially on any powers, any sort of outside run with Dalvin Cook, and being able to kind of cross a guard's face to be able to go inside. But again, I need Nicholas Moreau to show a little bit more of that well-roundedness that we've seen from him early on in the season, because I feel like just looking at the tape, man, he just was getting kind of blown off the ball for the most part the entire Giants game. And obviously we think of the missed tackle, and that's a rough one. For Nicholas Moreau, I'm not going to give as much benefit of the doubt, say for Roquan Smith, because Roquan's still trying to get comfortable within this system. But I mean, I need to see a little bit more from my inside linebacker, I guess, in run defense. That's just where I'm kind of sitting personally right now.
Yeah. See, that's kind of why I said the defensive, because dude, there were so many plays where the defensive line it's hard to play the run game when you're fucking on your defensive lineman within 3 seconds of the snap, or within 1 second of the snap. Really, there was a lot of plays where I felt like it was just muddy for the linebackers in general because there was so much push coming off the ball from the New York Giants. So I get what you're saying. That's a really fucking tough play. That was like such a crucial play on that missed tackle, but that's what Saquon Barkley does. Where was everyone else on that play? Like great key way to read it, but where was everyone else? What happened to the whole fucking hits principle? I get it though.
What killed me on that play though, I feel like more than anything, and it honestly made me laugh after the fact, was Robert Quinn just flat out running to the opposite sideline of where Saquon was going because he was trying to fucking set the edge. Like I'll give him credit for the effort, but like Rob, just fucking turn your head even a little bit and see that Saquon's running the opposite way. Cause like, bro, he was just so committed to getting to that sideline.
That's how he plays.
Try to cut him off. And it's something like you see in Madden. If you see it, it's like, what? This doesn't happen in real life. And then you see it happen in real life. And you're like, oh, well, fuck me.
Rob's been a little quiet too. We need him to step up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
As being the highest paid defensive lineman and the veteran with all that production, he's not played as well as, anywhere close to the level he was playing at last year. But again, the interior line is nowhere near as good. He's probably getting a lot more attention, even with Mac being gone. And he still was able to light it up. But we had so much on the interior. Even like Blackson was a backup for the Bears last year. And then when Hicks would go out, you still had that level of play in the interior. That's one thing Ryan Pace always did well, was get that defensive line beefed up for a pretty reasonable price. But it's kind of all I got, man. Gotta play your run fits because they're gonna kill you off fucking play action. Like, and I do think O'Connell, who they got, like he's not a Hackett. Like he's a legit fucking coach. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to call plays. He knows how to go within the flow of the game. From the Vikings games that I have watched, I've watched 2 full ones. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows what to call, when to call it.
Yeah. So one key, I guess, to kind of close up the point with the I guess for right now with the defense is the Vikings tight end Ben Ellefson is actually going to be out for this game, and he's been used primarily as a blocking tight end. He's not really a whole lot in the passing game. I believe he's actually the guy who dropped a fucking gimme touchdown. Or no, that was Johnny Munt. My bad. No, so Ben Ellefson, he's been put next to Brian O'Neill quite a bit from what I've seen. And kind of helping him with like the chip or whatever or with anything like that with pass blocking. With not having him out there, that's really where it bodes well for one of these guys on the edge to kind of have a game. I don't know if Al-Quadin Muhammad is going to continue to get the higher snap count than a Travis Gibson right now because Travis he shouldn't. I mean, it's fine if you want to play him on first down, but Travis not playing second or third down is like self-sabotage at this point. But I mean,
Al-Quadin Muhammad is not making such a gross amount of money that like an owner or front off, you know what I mean? Like higher ups would notice like, hey, you just paid this guy $18 million. Why isn't he on the field? You know what I mean? Like you can let Travis start.
Well, it's almost to a point where like, I guess I still do like him a little bit more than Travis in run defense only.
Shit rocked last
but that's what I mean. Like he has to actually start showing that ability that he can stop the run because that's kind of what we brought him in to do. That's kind of what his bread and butter at Indy was being able to stop the run on the edge. And that's just something we haven't seen so far this year. I don't know if that's because he's getting a higher snap count than he got in Indianapolis. So maybe he's not used to playing this many snaps, but it's like, if he's your run guy, Travis Gibson is very obviously your pass guy. Don't waste Al-Quadin Muhammad on running downs. Let him stay fresh to be able to defend the run. You know what I mean? It's kind of a situation where like you'd have Eddie Goldman out there, first and second down maybe, and then third down, there's no reason to have him out there because like that's not the guy you want rushing your passer. You know what I mean? That's more where you'd want to put a Blyle Nichols in that situation. If we're blasting it back to the past, where how the Bears used to kind of do that. But with a guy who likes rotations as much as Eberflus does, I would like to see that kind of be the rotation. Al-Quadin Muhammad could play on first down, stay fresh, put everything into that down to be able to stop the run, and then get Travis out there just in case, because they do get the Minnesota Vikings do get a little pass happy at times, especially if you can contain Dalvin Cook in that first quarter. They'll start passing the football and they will not go back to Dalvin Cook. So that would be the best case scenario with what we could do.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, they're averaging like 400 yards a game as an offense.
Yeah, no, The Vikings definitely got some juice, man. And this is a team that I wasn't necessarily too high on. I think 2 years ago, Lucas. I think that's when I was.
Zimmer was a big part of that, though.
Yeah, no, Zimmer was definitely a huge part, and
they always had a lot of talent.
He overstayed his welcome by so long, and I feel like it just hit a point where the players just weren't buying anything he was selling. It's why it's just weird when teams hold on to coaches a little bit too long. I mean, look at what we did with Matt Nagy.
Dude, but it was 2 years longer than Nagy. If we would have rolled with Nagy again this year, in my opinion, that was his last year.
Bro, there would have been freaking riots had we rolled with Matt Nagy again this year. It was bad. I thought it was going to get bad after we didn't fire him on Thanksgiving, but that's conversation for another day. But yeah, I guess kind of moving over to the offensive side of the ball here, because this is a big one that we haven't even talked about yet. David Montgomery did not participate on Wednesday and has been a limited participant at practice so far this week, and he's sitting at questionable right now. I've said this over and over again, Lucas. I know you're not a Khalil Herbert guy. Me personally, I love the idea of having that that double-headed monster at running back, and being able to have David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert mixing in together and spelling each other on the field, man. It just feels like it's a constant threat. It's not a situation where it's like, hey, we've ran David Montgomery 6 times in a row, dude. He's dead tired. Obviously we're going to have to pass now, or they're going to just load the box and just kill him the second he gets the ball. It's no, if we keep fresh legs out there the entire time, it would be really nice. And even if Dave Montgomery's used a little bit as a decoy this week, they don't necessarily want to get him too much action because they don't want him to get re-injured, because we're going to definitely need him down the stretch. It would be nice to be able to just kind of have that threat of him out there and being able to set up Khalil Herbert when he kind of comes off the field, because they're not going to be able to hit a situation where they load the box the entire time. I mean, if you look at how the passing offense has been, yeah, I definitely see that argument. There's no doubt, but it's got to hit a point where Luke Getsy can call up some plays, get some guys open in space when there's single high coverage, and Justin Fields can make some throws. If Justin gets into a rhythm early on, and this, obviously this is something we're going to have to talk about, but if he gets in a rhythm early on, it's kind of just mirroring what you were saying, Lucas. You just got to kind of let him roll. You know what I mean?
I mean, fuck, man. I guess we should start with this. Nope, no, that's something else. Stop rotating Jenkins, for crying out loud. Yes, that's one huge key, I think, into this game. And I don't think you're going to be able to rotate him. If there's still somehow a rotation with Tevin Jenkins, then there's no doubt he fucked somebody's wife, because with Lucas Patrick going out, it just wouldn't make any sense. Leatherwood still has the kissing disease, if I'm not mistaken. So I just feel like there's no way you could rotate him at this point. If Patrick's going to, that's another thing too. Who's playing left guard, who's playing center. I know Getsy said that they were shuffling things up and seeing what's going on. And I mentioned, I'd like to see Reef at right tackle and Borum kicked into left guard. And then Patrick playing center, what he was supposed to do. But I guess there's a ton of options. My biggest thing is I love the idea of having fresh legs. If it was Trest and Ebner, no, really though. I love the idea of having fresh legs. I fully support that, ground and pound, all that shit. But we're going into week 5 now. We need to start seeing steps from QB1. And even though last week was a pretty good week for him, or at least better, not good, but better,
more of a step in the right direction, I guess.
A step in the right direction. I don't know, man. You got to open this fucking shit up. I get it. We're going into a division game. This is our second division game. Sucks that both the division games are on the road to start the year. But you don't want to go 0-2 in the division. I mean, you're looking at it from Eberflus's perspective and everyone in the building. They want to win the division this year. So this is a huge game. So I do see Montgomery and Jaylon Johnson playing. I think they're going to try to get everyone out there and make sure that they're, that they could try to win this game, because let's be honest, dude, the offense is dog shit. And at this point, just score 3 touchdowns. That's do that by any means necessary. And I do want to see steps from Justin Fields. And I do think that they're a little bit more susceptible in the pass than they are in the run. So, Harrison Smith injured? Didn't he
I don't believe so, but he is somebody
who might have went on IR.
Yeah, he got banged up last week on a play where he just basically got freaking mollywopped by whoever he was trying to cover. But you bring up a couple points here, Lucas, that I want to kind of kind of capitalize on here, because for the most part this week, I've been thinking about how can Luke Getsy make this offense just kind of run a little bit better. I mean, it's very obvious so far, and I've brought this up in post-game shows, is Luke Getsy can call a scripted offense, but once he gets past that, once he starts having to call plays on the fly, that's where he kind of runs into issues. I think what can really help him with that is getting to a point where you just stop trying to spread the ball around, stop trying to get guys like Pettis involved. And like, I understand you have to get those guys involved at some point, you know what I mean? Don't completely cut them off, but like, use Darnell Mooney, use Cole Kmet, call plays that like have them the number 1 and 2 options. You know what I mean? Make them the reads, hit a point where it's like, as much as I hate to be that type of offense, because it kind of makes you one-dimensional in a sense, like you will get some sort of production by running an offense that runs through Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, because I'm not convinced that Justin Fields can't make those throws, and those are 2 guys that he probably trusts more than anybody else that's been on the field so far. He's obviously built a pretty good connection with Dante Pettis, but like it's not something that's really been sustainable so far. Pettis is still dropping footballs, and even when Pettis is getting open, it's not necessarily one of the reads that Justin is looking for. It seems like he's kind of eyeing up Darnell Mooney whenever he can really get a shot, and we saw quite a bit of that with the Giants last week. So like Luke Getsy just kind of has to go back to basics and be like, I'm going to let my playmakers carry us. And this is something that Matt Eberflus has beaten into the ground time and time again. We need to get our best players to football.
Highlight the skill.
Highlight the skill
every fucking week, dude. And I mean, look at what the Buccaneers did last week. It was Tom Brady to Mike Evans the entire fucking game. Look at when Randy, like when he finally got a true number 1, or even with Edelman and Gronk. Like, you don't need 12 guys. You need 2 guys. And I understand our 2 guys are not top tier, but we still need to make them the focal points of the passing offense. Because I think you're right. I think there's a little bit too much of Getsy thinking. I mean, he was spoiled. He came from Aaron Rodgers. He thinks that that Justin can go up and make these full field reads. Like, he can't, dude. He can't. So you need to not make every play basic or make the reads basic, but you need to just fucking make sure that your your best 2 players, best 2 pass catchers are highlighted as the 1 and 2 options on damn near every play. And in terms of scripting, like, I think we've talked about this a lot. The script, the opening drive script is always better than everything else. And I think that has to do with his inexperience and game flow. So why not make like fucking 12 scripts? Like, hey, here's a script for this drive. If we're down fucking 12, or if we're down, we need to score fast. Here's a script for this. Here's like, have some shit there. So like you can go from thing to thing. I'm not saying lock yourself into it, but definitely need to expand on that script. If it's 15 plays, make it 30 for the first half. And have a second half script too, at least, because I don't know. We went over Getsy. He's a jagoff.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it, Lucas. It's like he cannot call plays on the fly. That is his biggest issue holding him back right now. He's not, and what comes with that, and this is something I've talked about a lot before, so I'm not going to go nuts into it, but like, give me some setup plays, please. Like when we are dominating the line of scrimmage in the run game and being able to run the football at will, whether it's with Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery or honestly, whoever you put back there at certain points, set up a play action, set up to the point where you recognize single man coverage or shallow zone coverage and be able to fit it into a fucking window and play action or something. Like, be able to set that up, because we're becoming far too predictable as an offense, man. By the time we call that play action, Lucas, I know you watch football like I do. We can see it coming. And if we can see it coming, the defense coordinator on the Minnesota Vikings can certainly see it coming. Well, like, we need those plays like week 1 to Ectomary St. Brown, where like we didn't see that play action coming. And when it actually hit, we were like, oh, that's going to fucking hit. It was kind of one of those things where like the second you saw Justin still have the ball, it's like, there's something there. You know what I mean? We have not seen that since.
Well, and like, we're not seeing a lot of rollouts in general either. That's fucking annoying. Like, for a guy that's as mobile as Justin Fields is, why are you making him fight through the top of the pocket on every fucking play to run? Like, he's already not reading the field well enough. So like, get him on the fucking move. Dabble was just, dude, there was a drive with Dabble. I think their first scoring drive, Daniel Jones rolled out on damn near every fucking play, but you also have to sell it with the setup. Like, every single time Justin Fields goes to hand the ball off, he needs to roll one way or the other. So then every single time, if he's pulling that defensive lineman over, he keeps pulling himself out of the play, then you hit him with the fucking play action. No one's going to be around. You know what I mean? So it's just shit like that, dude. The details are so important.
And to that point, honestly, and I'll let you kind of continue your point after this, but
That's
like,
all I had. Sorry.
Well, all right, that's fine. Well, then I'll
cut
just,
you off.
I'll just talk for 20
Yeah.
minutes. But no, if you're going to do something like that, like I've noticed that we've been messing around with the RPO quite a bit, like, but the issue is like, we'll run the RPO for a play and then we will not run the RPO for like 2 more drives. And it's like, the biggest thing about the RPO is kind of giving yourself that triple threat option. And if you only run it like once in a while, like nobody's going to take it seriously. You know, it's kind of similar to like, remember when the Miami Dolphins back in the day started running Wildcat, and they ran Wildcat a lot. So you genuinely didn't know which back in the backfield was going to be getting the ball or how that situation was going to go, because Ronnie Brown could also throw the ball. Like being able to have that triple threat in this situation is being able to sit in RPO and mess around with it, run it 3 plays in a row, you know what I mean? And give them something different every single time. And then on the next drive, when you go into RPO, they don't know what the hell to expect you. That's the entire beauty of the RPO. And that's something that Brian Daboll did very well with Josh Allen. And that's something that, like, with the prototype of a Justin Fields, where he's mobile, he's big, he has a hell of a deep ball, that's the type of offense you want to be able to run with him. Now, I'm not of the idea that I always want the Chicago Bears in shotgun, and I've made a point of that because I like the idea of being able to have a David Montgomery kind of get a running start to the line of scrimmage so he can hit a hole and just kind of hit 6 yards before they even really know what hit him. But if you're going to use the RPO and set it up. You know what I mean? It just hits too many points where Luke Getsy, it just feels like he's throwing shit at a wall, and it's not sticking yet. You know what I mean? You need to be able to have those set up plays. Otherwise, teams are just going to understand that you're calling random plays, and they're just going to kind of run base defense on you the whole fucking time.
Yeah, and I know we're getting into more like offensive theory at this point, but another thing is too, like, there haven't been a ton of those plays where it's just like, yeah, that's going for a touchdown. Like, unless someone drops a ball or sails a throw, whatever. You know what I mean? Because you'll see within the game, like, a lot of coordinators are having people watch, okay, every time we run, very basic, but every time we run 25 dive, this is what the linebackers are doing. This is what the safeties are doing. This is what the defensive line's doing. And you just keep, like, you run that play 6, 7 times. And then you're like, okay, we know where this is going. So all we're going to do is just tell Darnell Mooney, get to this spot, and tell Fields, throw to that spot. Make sure you round your dropout because he's coming up field quickly, or make sure you step up into this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like there's none of those layup big plays. That the only one I could think of is Equanimeous St. Brown in terms of the passing game. There's none of those layup, this is going to be there right as soon as you hit your break. It hasn't been there. Nothing.
Well, and I mean, honestly, Lucas, I was actually having a really good conversation with a Bears fan I work with earlier. I actually got him to listen to the podcast. So, hey, if you're listening, buddy, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But we actually had a really good discussion about how we kind of got to and I hate bringing it up, but we got kind of the talking about how Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields are similar and how they're different. You know, we kind of got to the point of talking about that. And we started talking about how Mitch would get, like, basically thrown under the bus because he would take the check down, and he would continue to take the check down if it was available to him. And once coverages got tight, that's where he struggled to be able to throw the ball downfield. With Justin, we know what his deep ball is. And if we can kind of run a similar offense where we can take the check down, take what the defense gives you, like run the simple routes, throw the underneath routes, like being able to have those plays downfield once the defenses start playing up, I'm very, very comfortable that Justin Fields can make those throws. Like we saw the throw to Darnell Mooney. You know what I mean? Like he threw that like wide with like basically on his back foot and threw a goddamn dime to Darnell Mooney on that first deep ball. Yeah. Like Justin's arm talent is disgusting. And I understand you want to utilize that. You want to put that on display at all times. And maybe coaching a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, maybe you got a little stuck in your ways of you wanting to always capitalize on having your quarterback use his great arm. But like, dude, take the underneath, make them respect you, make them play you fucking tight. and then take your shots downfield, be able to set up for something. But again, that's the term that keeps coming up when it comes to this offense is a setup. And we just continue to not see it.
Yeah.
But actually, I guess we
better on offense in general. It's so hard to critique at this point because I don't know. Is it Getsy not drawing these setups up? Is it Fields not taking you know what I mean? Like, is it Fields not taking the easy plays that are setting up the bigger plays? Is it guys missing assignments that's on the offensive line that's disrupting everything? Like, is it all the above? It's so hard to tell because it's just so dog shit of a product. Like,
yeah, no doubt. I mean. And no, Jim, it was not Dave Stager. I can assure you. If
he's such a shitbag.
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one because I'm probably going to say something rude to him later anyway. But, yeah, dude. And I don't want it to be seen as a detriment for a quarter. Like, and this is just a narrative I've always wanted to kill. And I wanted to kill it when we had Mitch too, is like, who cares if a guy takes a check down? You know what I mean? Like, I understand everybody wants to have those Patrick Mahomes type throws down the field all game. You want to have the gunslinger whipping 80-yard touchdowns, but like the talent just is not there with this team right now. Like, you have to be honest about that. You need to be able to take what your offense can give you. You need to be able to take what the defense gives you. You need to be able to get the ball in your playmakers' hands, and you can set things up downfield later. Like, dude, if you're feeding Cole Kmet at the 5 yards down the field and letting him run to like 7-8 yards, like get close to the first down, like teams are going to have to start respecting that. Like, if you start hitting, and dude, can we run a slant route? Like, I don't think I've seen one fucking slant route.
There haven't been enough quick slants at all. Dude.
And that's funny considering that Green, like,
that's all they do.
It feels like that's the Aaron Rodgers special, is that fucking slant route to like Randall Cobb or somebody that just goes for fucking 60 yards. You know what I mean? Like, get the ball in your receiver's hands and allow him to make a play. Like, I even feel like Pettis would be far better suited in this offense running in the slot on a slant route and being able to make a play, and try to outrun somebody to the outside. You know what I mean? Or even a Valus. If we were to give Valus the ball on offense,
slots,
that would also, like, be right there. I just feel like we're bringing in this West Coast type mentality on offense, but we're kind of ignoring like one of the bigger West Coast offense attributes in the slant route. You know what I mean?
It's actually puzzling at this point how little we see like just a quick slant, because it's automatic separation. Like, as long as you put it on your guy on a quick slant, especially something like Kmet even running from the slot and running a quick slant, like
another thing I would really like to see would be fucking Kmet being split out.
We haven't seen it nearly. I get it though. They need him there for blocking, and it fucks it. Our slot receiver and our tight end every single play, or if we're running with two tight ends, are chipping before they go out for a route. So that definitely does not fucking help. Fuck, man, just be better, please. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, just be better in all aspects of offense, because I just don't want to be pounding my fucking head against the wall being like, oh yeah, the Bears won 12-11 and we had 4 field goals. Like, I don't want to see Russell Wilson versus Matt Ryan every fucking day of my life for the rest of my life. So Lucas, just be better on offense.
Don't even test me. I don't want to talk about Russell
Wilson. I forgot. Yeah, no, he's terrible, but we don't have to cross that bridge.
Yeah, I already sent you about 7 paragraphs earlier.
It's the North Carolina that fucked him up. It wasn't Wisconsin. Don't worry, buddy. Wisconsin quarterbacks are incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of like how people get screwed up when they go to OSU. I mean, it's not Milwaukee's fault, but that's a conversation for another day as well. Hopefully you guys have been watching some Netflix lately. There's some pretty good series over there. OSU, baby. But anyway, really some things to capitalize on with this defense, because I feel like we should talk about it a little bit. Because we have kind of alluded to the fact that their secondary isn't necessarily like strong.
And that's who's out. Eddie Money put it out. That's who got injured. Sign broke his leg, I think.
Yes, Lewis Sign. He had a serious injury. Harrison Smith did get shaken up. I feel like towards
he got hit in the nuts. I looked it up.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty rough hit, honestly.
He got hit in the nuts is what it's literally.
Yeah,
the article title is what I saw.
And that's the toughest time to get hit in the nuts, because that ended up costing them a timeout where they were trying to get the clock down on I forgot who they were playing last week. I don't know. I'm not going to try to guess. But anyway, name recognition is kind of like the number one thing. Like, if you don't necessarily watch kind of like Lucas is saying, if you're kind of a casual fan, big names and stuff like that, that's cool. But like you see Patrick Peterson, you see Harrison Smith, and you're like, whoa, fuck, you know what I mean? There's some talent here. Patrick Peterson probably had the worst season of his career last year. Not necessarily having a great season this year. He's still Patrick Peterson, like that'll never go away. But it's not necessarily been something that he's not who he used to be. You know what I mean? And then you have Cam Dantzler Sr. over on the opposite side of him. If you've ever heard of Cam Dantzler Sr., congratulations. I'll send you 10 cents on Venmo. But like, it's somebody that like,
I know Cam Dantzler. Yeah, he's like not a starting corner.
It's not somebody who should like instill fear in you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you have Cameron Bynum filling in for Lewis Sign, not necessarily a guy that I'm totally familiar with either. So like, there's definitely spots you can take advantage of. Like Harrison Smith, he's still a guy who can ball hawk a little bit, but he's also a guy who can get beat deep. He's definitely starting to lose a bit of his speed as old age and injuries are starting to add up. But that all aside, what kind of hurts the strategy the Chicago Bears have been doing, essentially the 1940, basically run the ball 100 times and throw it about 2. It really kind of hurts because their front 7 is stacked. You have Eric Kendricks. You have Eric Kendricks in the middle. You've Jordan Hicks is probably one of the more underrated linebackers in football, in my opinion. I feel like he's a guy who's always flown under the radar, and he's a guy who's just always played great football. Former Texas Longhorn as well. I just feel like I have to.
Did he play for the Cardinals too, or no?
He did. He played for the Eagles, Cardinals, and then Minnesota signed him. I actually tweeted at Summer George when they signed him, and I'm like, dude, take care of him because he's a great player. He genuinely is. Anyway, but Zadarius Smith, that's a name. He's been on the injury report this week, but I believe he is set to play. He's been a limited participant all week. His game status is that he's going to be good to go. So that's going to be somebody we have to account for. That's somebody who wreaked havoc on us when he was in the green and gold. And then, of course, Daniel Hunter on the outside as well. That's a perennial top 5, top 10 pass rusher in the entire league. That's a guy who can damage you if you do not pay enough attention to him. It's almost to a situation where you'd almost prefer a guy like Zadarius Smith try to beat you because Daniel Hunter can genuinely take over football games.
Yeah, Daniel Hunter and Zadarius Smith is a really nice combo for bookends.
Yeah, no, they're deep. Like I said, their front 7 is strong. I mean, they just switched to the 3-4 defense, and they have the right guys in there to do it. Old friend alert. We're gonna see some Jonathan Bullard this week. And yeah, I know.
He's starting for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even guessed he's in the league at this point if I didn't see it just on the depth chart. If I'm being totally honest with you,
he's starting for them, huh?
Yeah, he's starting.
All right. Well,
although with Kyrus Tonga coming in, we could see a potential rotation. I mean, Kyrus would probably end up taking more at the nose, but you never quite know how they want to integrate him into the defense.
Dude, I can't believe Jonathan Bullard's a starter right now.
Yeah, well, to the flip side of that, because obviously it's funny that Jonathan Bullard's starting for the Vikings. They also have Dalvin Tomlinson at that other defensive end spot, and that's a guy who will absolutely wreak havoc in the run defense. Honestly, more than a guy like Eric Kendricks ever will. He's probably their best run defender up front. Yeah, they're going to have beef up front, man. It's going to be a situation that if we run the football, we're going to earn every single one of those yards. And it's going to have to be, we're going to have to be able to get to the second level past the first level if we're going to want to really get anything past like 5-6 yards. So it's going to be a battle. We're going to need to be able to get a good scheme on offense. And we're going to have to really take advantage of some of these mismatches in the secondary. As I said before, like there is talent on this defense, but it can be
10 minutes later, Perf still processing Bullard starting. Yeah, I'm just amazed at this point, to be honest. Like, what the fuck?
Yes, I'll give Spag a shout out here too. It's good to see you on the show. Defense needs to open their eyes more on the field. Yeah, I mean, we kind of discussed that with guys like Nicholas Moreau. I mean, I feel like honestly having Matthew Adams back is going to really bode well for us in the run defense. And also a lap. I will not snap any footballs up my anus if that's what you're insinuating. Alap has been messaging me all week talking about how I should start at center over Sam Mustipher. Buddy, I'd probably have to put on like 60 fucking pounds at this point to be able to be an NFL center, and I'd still probably just get absolutely mollywopped if I'm being totally honest. But I would be able to snap football. I did snap footballs in elementary school, actually, because obviously I had the red stripe and I wasn't able to play running back like I wanted.
Red stripers live forever.
But I think this is a good point to get into score predictions, Lucas. How are you feeling about actually, no, before that, really quick, bold prediction.
Bold prediction. I'm gonna go with there's nothing bold about this. There's nothing bold about our team. I think that's what the problem is. Bold prediction is Roquan Smith will have a pick 6.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Roquan did have a pick 6 last season against the team that ended up playing in the Super Bowl and Joe Burrow. So it's not crazy to think with Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins does love handing out pick 6s.
Oh, he
really likes handing them out to us.
Yeah, no, he'll hand out some fucking interceptions. There's no doubt. If there's a prop for Kirk Cousins to throw a pick over under 0.5, I would hammer the over on that.
Yeah, and I feel like that bodes insanely well for a guy like Eddie Jackson, who is literally just ball hawking like no other lately. Although that's not going to be my bold prediction because, as you've said in the past, that's not bold because Eddie Jackson is him, obviously. Geez, I'm thinking bold predictions. Cole Kmet has 5 catches for 60+ yards this week. Okay. I'm gonna say that this team finally gets fucking Cole Kmet involved. We finally start seeing something used in the middle of the field because it feels like we're always going out. We're always throwing out. I liked seeing that Darnell Mooney post. I think it was on the first play of the game against the Giants. I wouldn't mind seeing us go to something like that again, but like feed Cole Kmet, please. Like he is a guy that if you just get him an open field, like I want to see him go one-on-one with Harrison Smith because at this point in his career, I feel like, dude, that'd just be a fucking clash. You know what I mean? Like I want to see Cole Kmet get involved. I will even toss a touchdown in here. Use him in the red zone. Fucking put him outside for all I care. You know what I mean? Just get Cole Kmet involved. He is a huge guy. He caught 60 fucking footballs last year. Get him involved.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, Lucas, how you feeling about score predictions?
Man, I'm finding it so hard to give myself a score prediction that is with the Bears winning. I'm not going to lie. So just for that sake, it's going to have to be a defensive slobber knocker. I'm going to say the Bears win. There's going to be a safety involved too. 19-12.
Okay.
It's got to be a scoregami. I just threw that out there. Like because there's no way. I mean, if I was really going to pick, I'd probably pick. I know this goes against what I was saying in the pregame show, but I'd probably pick like 27-14, 27-17 in the Vikings' favor, to be honest. But I'm gonna just go with 19-12.
Yeah, dude. I really hate you sometimes, Lucas, because honestly, I'm gonna take the aggressive route here. I'm going to say Kirk Cousins has a meltdown game against us. They score 17 points and we score 27. I have 27-17 Bears. I think this secondary can be taken advantage of. Like, and I still do think that if we get a good mix on the offensive line, like there's a lot of things in play here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, if Jaylon Johnson's out and Sam Musford starting at center, that I'm feeling too confident about my prediction. But if we get Lucas Patrick at center, we move either Borum or Reef inside and have some, and kind of have that set up, like have those 5 guys on the field, have Jones, Borum, Patrick, Tevin plays 100% of the snaps, by the way. No fucking like
we'll see how that changes his numbers too, right? They're a little bit skewed because he's not playing 100% of the snaps. So you're seeing less than 50% of the snaps. You're going to give up less pressures.
I'm going to continue to see a very violent football player who's very motivated by a GM who doesn't want him. So that's personally how I feel about it. But if we have a good 5 combo up front, I feel like we can still be able to run the football. I think if Dave Montgomery is out there, as I said, even as a decoy that can kind of set things up for the run game, Khalil Herbert can have a pretty good game as well. I wouldn't mind seeing Treston Ebner get involved. I want to see if Velas starts getting involved in the offense as well. Throw some freaking slant routes on offense, and I feel like we can get guys like Darnell Mooney moving down the field, and that's going to be the biggest positive. Even ESP is a big fucking body to get in front of a corner who's probably not going to be the greatest corner on the field. He can have a good matchup as well. Identify your matchups, feed your playmakers, score points, and get to Kirk Cousins. My bold take was going to be that Travis Gibson would have a strip sack in this game, but I still do like my Cole Kmet take because I don't think I make enough offensive bold takes. But like force pressure, make him just have a meltdown because he's good at having meltdowns against us. It's all about who you're playing. But Lucas, you got anything else before we get out of here?
That's it, man. That's all I got.
All right, so you have 19-12 Bears, and I have 27-17 Bears. Right, real quick before we go, me and Lucas are going to be down at Soldier Field on next Thursday. We are going to be going to the Chicago Bears Washington Commanders game. I'm going to be set up tailgating in the lots. Be sure to come find me or, shoot me a DM, ask me where I'm at. We'll be able to hook up. Maybe I'll give you a brat, maybe I'll give you a beer. We're all having good times, stuff like that. Would love to meet with some of the fans. Would love to just talk Bears football. If anybody's ever met me in the White Sox tailgates, I'm a good time. Like, I'm not going to go as nuts, but we're going to have a good time for sure. And hopefully we are witnessing a Bears victory, So, but anyway, this has been Barely There. It's been a trip as always. I don't know exactly how we're going to format next week's shows because we're going to this game. So that's going to be something to kind of keep an eye on Twitter. We'll give you an update probably in the post game of this one of what we're thinking. Jim, I have the toothbrush holder. It's literally in my bathroom. I don't know why it would be anywhere else. But yeah, this has been the Barely There podcast. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm Duke Coughlin. You can follow me at that pod guy Duke. As always, I'm joined by the Ayatollah of Capicola, Lucas Perfetti. You can follow him at Lucas Perfetti 46. Be sure to follow the pod at Barely There Pod. Smash the like button, as Lucky Spag says. Be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. Like, we've been getting some pretty good traction over on YouTube, man. I hope you guys have been really enjoying. I love the chats. Jim, Spag, Olap, love all you guys in here. Ed, it's been a while since we've seen you too, buddy. We always appreciate the back and forth. That's all I got. Be sure to subscribe, rate us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you got to do it, man. We appreciate the support. This has been Barely There, and bear down.
Bear down.